Good morning, my name is Benjamin Moeller. I'm a paleontologist, and as far as anybody's aware, I've never been infected with a mind flayer parasite. Today is day 10 on the Menefee expedition out here looking at 80-million-year-old rocks in northwestern New Mexico. You may have noticed that it's been a few months since day 9 on the Menefee expedition, and that is because we do these trips sometimes both in early summer in May, June, and in the fall in October. Today is October 13th. Now, if you're watching this for free on YouTube, it's going to be at least December 13th, 2024, if not afterwards. If you're watching it on October 13th, 2024, that means that you are a subscriber to the Parent Teacher Guide to Paleontology over on patreon.com/ptpaleo, and I greatly appreciate that because it allows me to do not just video documentation of these trips, but also write lots of articles, building a free virtual museum. All of the stuff that I do is supported by my patrons. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And I'm going to be showing you some new things that we're going to get up to. We're returning to a site that was first visited earlier in the year, and we're going to try to find new ways of ingress because there's some bigger material that I want to take out and a very steep kind of slope that we need to go through. So we're going to do a little bit of logistics, but then also keep an eye out to see if we can find some new stuff. So let's get to it. So here's some petrified wood, very common, probably the most common fossil that we find in the Menefee. And this comes from a stump that's sitting up there. We'll take a closer look in a minute. And this one's interesting because it's charcoalized on the inside. It's got that sort of black texturing, black coloration, excuse me. You can see more of it there. Here's a stump that piece fell off. You can see brightly colored lichens, and then more of that. It's darkly colored on the inside, lightly colored on the outside. And this is a prime example of why. So this is an in situ stump. This is going directly upwards, exactly where it grew 80 million years ago. And because the soil is eroding on the surface here, big pieces of it are falling off. So pieces like this are only available to study for a few decades before they are fully destroyed. Some lichen appreciation. Let's see if I can get that to... Woo! We got orange, we got yellow, we got gray. Very hardy. It's all dry right now, but you can visualize that when it rains here in the Badlands, this area becomes a very sharp waterfall. And all of this soft mud and this pile here, which includes some bigger fragments. So this flow was definitely during a significant time of high energy water. Probably part of a shelf collapsed and got washed down. So this is why we only visit the Menefee Formation in particular seasons. In fact, it probably wasn't even that long ago. You can see in here some of that cracking. So it was wet not that long ago. We always avoid June, partly because of the storms and partly because of the bugs that come with the storms. There's another pretty sheer drop off. My shadow for scale. Hello. Shadows are not good scales, but take it my word, this is would not want to fall down there. By the way, this is mountain lion country, so we do not venture into those little natural caves and canyons that are created. Not just because this stuff is super unstable, but because animals like hanging out in there. There I am again. Yo. come across another stump that's broken apart. This is the main piece. And the larger chunks, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, and that's a big one right there, have all kind of washed down. But this is a great example of just how beautiful the petrified wood out in the Menefee is. You can see it sparkles in the sun. This wood is full of all kinds of different crystals that have grown as the tree permineralized and petrified. So just in the same way that if you've ever accidentally dumped water on a hardwood floor, or you've had a piece of furniture that was kept in a really humid climate and started to swell, just because the wood is dead, and to be clear, most wood that you see, even if it's not in furniture, is not technically alive. Non-living cells, they still absorb water. And that's exactly what happened to this piece and all the other chunks down here. They absorbed water when they were buried, and that water had dissolved minerals that formed crystals. Look at that. These are some larger chunks. Here's a nice chunk of Trionychid turtle shell. These are the soft shell turtles. This family is still around today. And this is an extra nice piece because it includes part of the suture on the side. This is where one piece of the shell would fit in with the rest. And unlike, say, the shells of like a clam, which is obviously an invertebrate, the shells of turtles are actually expansions of the rib cage. And so on some pieces, like the one I'm going to show you next, you can actually see where the original rib is and where the bone expands outwards. So here's another piece of shell. It's not in quite as good condition. You can't see the texturing, the pitting on top quite as well. But on the inside, you can see it's got this kind of structure right there. So that's the actual rib of the turtle. And then the shell, as you can see, is kind of an outward expansion of that bone. Isn't that wacky? This is the first substantial dinosaur find of the day. It's the end of a limb of one of the larger genera, probably one of the herbivores like Ornatops or Menepheeceratops. You can see this kind of semicircular structure there. So this is one of the condyles, and the second condyle is behind it. And so this is where you would have all kinds of cartilage that would help connect this limb piece with the next. So you're looking at a joint here. So it's dirty on this side and clean on this end. I'm going to gently kind of orient this for you. So you can see part of this condyle on this side is missing. But this is a pretty hefty thing. If you put it next to my knee, it's obviously much bigger. Very nice piece. So we got more very nice soft-shell turtle. This is a type with very fine pitting, which is very cool. Here's another piece with a fine edge. So when we give these off to our turtle experts, they'll have something interesting to say. And these, because they seem to have broken apart rather recently, we should be able to glue some of these back together. Good find, Jake. Sweet. Now we've just spent the last several hours collecting 6 bags of float, large dinosaur fossils from this cliff up here. The slope is very slippery. Each of us has fallen at least once. My wrist is feeling a little sore. And just as I wrapped up writing all of these labels, which I have folded inside so that you cannot see the GPS markings, I noticed that the spare water I brought had leaked through my bag, so I'm letting my tools dry. My bag is in timeout over there, drying out. And accompanying these bones are 3 fragments of a large theropod tooth in the Campanian of North America that can basically only be Tyrannosaur. I'm very confident that they're Tyrannosaur teeth. That makes these as large dinosaur fossils, potentially Tyrannosaur as well. So I'm really excited to get these. back to our lab, basically just a temporary setup with some tables for us to start gluing these fragments together and get an idea of what they can be. But in Menefee Expedition 2025, we are coming back to pick up what was left behind up there. And we'll see you then. And in case I don't have any more footage to show today, I will see you tomorrow. How do I wave from behind the camera? Goodbye. So that right there, under the microscope, there's the real thing down there. But that is the Tyrannosaur tooth, up close and personal. Great find, Jake.